With just around 2 weeks left until the broadcast of Doctor Who Legend of the Sea Devils, the BBC decided, oh, wait a minute, we've got an Easter special that we should probably start marketing. And they dropped a load of stuff. So we got this, we got a release date a couple of days prior with a really cool flag. Let me scroll down. Yeah, really cool flag. Very cute, very adorable. I love that flag. I want that on like a coaster. Almost a toaster. I'll take that on a toaster as well, but definitely also on a coaster. And then a few days later, we got a trailer with the Sea Devils. We already sort of talked about it in the reaction. We already talked about it a bit already. But yeah, they dropped these sheets here, these posters, and some images here. I love this sort of panto John Bishop setup here. I think it's beautiful. DW says the costumes are fire. They absolutely are. Ray Holman and whoever else is involved has done an incredible job. So yeah, that's the beginning and end of the social media stuff. But yeah, we've looked at the poster as well. Looks really, really cool. I don't think this will properly be appearing. Like, I don't think we'll see this out and about, like printed or on billboards or at bus stops or anything in the near future, which is a bit of a shame. But yeah, we've got that one. It looks really, really cool. I kind of stand Dan dressed up as a pirate, says Darius. Oh yeah, I think it really suits him. It's the cuffs, I think. I think he pulls it off. I think he does a really, really good job with it. Joey says Dan looks like a pirate from a kid's party. Yeah, and I think in the trailer they inferred that it's Yaz who dressed Dan up, kind of hitting home the further idea that was established in Flux that Dan is more Yaz's companion than the Doctor's companion. So Yaz is just... Basically, this is like the Unquiet Dead, where Yaz is like the Doctor, and Dan's like, oh, I'm going to go out, and Yaz is like, no, you can't go out dressed like a plasterer, you'll start a riot, you know, go down the corridor, first left, past the bins, fifth on your left, and gets dressed up as a pirate. That's exactly what's going to happen. Doing GFan, the hierarchy, that's the hierarchy, okay? You've got the two lovers at the top here, and then you've got Pirate Boy at the bottom, okay? Pirate Boy is bottom. This looks really cool. I like the epic scale to it, and there was also a lot of stuff happening in the issue of Doctor Who magazine, which preceded the publication of this. The reason Legend of the Sea Devils looks so big is because of the compromises that was made. And I knew that the chat would flip out when I said that Dan's a bottom. Okay, is Curiosity Rocks in the chat? Okay, do we have new fan fiction arriving? Is that a thing that's going to happen? Anyway, so in the latest issue of Doctor Who magazine, which has a full set of interviews with Chris Chibnall, with Ella Rhode, the co-writer of this story, and also the director Haola Wang, there's a great set of quotes from all three of them. And there's a great quote from Chris Chibnall, who says that a bit like recreating the Crimean War in the Sontaran episode, it was really important that we didn't let the level of ambition go down for our last couple of episodes. For all sorts of reasons, we had to make the New Year's Day special really self-contained. The time loop story in Eve of the Daleks helped us to make that essentially a one-set production, and if we hadn't done that, it might not have existed. It was really touch and go, but this meant we could then consider doing a big number at Easter and a big finale in the autumn. So basically, Eve of the Daleks walked so that Legend of the Sea Devils and the currently untitled Centenary special could run, okay? See, folks, I'm here talking very clever Doctor Who analysis, and you're all here making jokes about Dan being a bottom. This is why this is a turbulent relationship between myself and the chat, okay? I feel like the 11th Doctor at the beginning of The Impossible Astronaut. Like, I'm being really, really impressive, and you're just standing around talking. What's the point of having you all, okay? What's the point of having you all? Russ Jetson says, do you reckon it will end with a Waters of Mars situation where things go from 0 to 100 real quick? It kind of has to, especially because what we know from Matt Strevens at, was it Gallifrey 1? The convention he did a couple of weeks ago, saying that Legend of the Sea Devils was meant to be the final story, and then the BBC at the 11th hour commissioned the Centenary special. So they had to change the ending of Legend of the Sea Devils and extend the story somewhat. So it wouldn't surprise me if Legend of the Sea Devils did end with a big cliffhanger. Like, let's say, for example, it's a 70-minute story. At minute 60, Legend of the Sea Devils is over as a self-contained story. And then the last 10 minutes is Fugitive Doctor turns up, the Master turns up, the Silurians, Macra, Cybersman. It's basically Dimensions in Time 2, okay? All of these people appear on the East End of London, and the Rani says, you're going on a journey, a very long journey. And then credits roll, okay? I imagine that's, even if not exactly what happens, is spiritually what will happen. It's about a feeling. It's about an emotion. Anyway, speaking of which, we did get a couple of plot details from the Chris Chibnall interview in Doctor Who magazine. He says, in our story, Madam Ching is on a mission to track down the lost treasure of the Flor de la Mar, a ship that may have been washed up in the waters around the area where we start the story. So for those of you who don't know, the Flor de la Mar is a lost Portuguese ship from the 16th century, around that time, and no one really knows what really happened to it. The quote continues, Madam Ching unleashes a terrifying evil that the Doctor has to help everyone deal with. And talking about the influence and the bringing on of the Sea Devils, we all know that Chris Chibnall is a big fan of the classic series. I think him reviving classic series elements and characters, like bringing back the Sontarans, bringing back the Master, that his characterization of the Daleks is spot on. And he elaborates a bit more about the Sea Devils. He says, everybody's contribution to Doctor Who echoes down the years and reflects back. But of all of those writers, Malcolm Hulke is clearly one of the greats. Now, Malcolm Hulke, he wrote the Sea Devils, he wrote the Silurians. As well as creating those creatures, his ideas were so rich and get richer over time that there are incredible layers to his scripts. The simple idea that the Silurians and the Sea Devils were here before us is very compelling. That's great in itself, but I think Hulke was also very connected to the world around him. He was writing stories that had resonance and metaphorical meaning. A lot of the stuff that we get accused of being, quote, woke about, Malcolm Hulke was doing over 50 years ago. You've got to say he was a pretty visionary writer. Just look at the Green Death. Firstly, Chris Chibnall, massively respect the shade. Okay, good. You should stand up for yourself in the show a bit more like that, okay? Props to Chibnall. But he's absolutely right. Stuff that would be accused of being overly political was stuff that the show was doing 50 years ago. And I think that that's terrific. Aidan Woodhead, he didn't actually just do that. He absolutely did. It's in the latest issue of Doctor Who magazine, available at all good retailers and available on digital now. You can get a digital subscription. Jonathan doing Frontier in Space is great. Yeah, I don't like the story, but it's a politically charged one, and that makes it interesting in retrospect. For any attack, I'm pretty sure this is the first time Chibnall has addressed the woke criticism. If it is, that's quite disappointing. He says it as he's out the door. Solving to Reservoir, The Green Death was written by Robert Sloman, not Malcolm Hulke. Is that true? Because I thought it was Malcolm Hulke as well. Oh, you're right. According to Wikipedia, it was written by Robert Sloman with uncredited work from Barry Letts. Sorry, Chibnall. Guess you're a fake fan. Fake fan Chibnall. Here he is pretending to know about the classic series. No, the sentiment is absolutely is correct, even though Malcolm Hulke did not write The Green Death. But yeah, Green Death does feel like a Malcolm Hulke story. When I read that quote, I was like, yeah, Malcolm Hulke wrote that. Anyway, we also got an interview with Ella Rhode, who was the co-writer of the story. She is doing her first television story with Legend of the Sea Devils, but she's doing, this is her first televised work to be broadcast, but she's doing some stuff for Amazon Prime, doing some stuff for Netflix and some Hollywood blockbuster stuff that she's unable to properly talk about. But she said she got involved because one of the Doctor Who script editors was at a volunteer writers theatre club that she also attended, and that's how she was able to get on board there. She's a child of the wilderness years. She was born in 1991, and she says that they called me up. I assumed that they'd have a story that they wanted me to write for the episode, but they also wanted me to help them come up with the story, which was great. We had 3 really intense days at the beginning, sitting in Chris's house in Wales, just coming up with stuff. Though the central elements of the story were already in place, Chris knew that he wanted to place the Sea Devils in a historical nautical setting, ideally in Asia, and it was actually Ella's contribution. It was her idea to introduce Madam Ching, the Pirate Queen. So she's the reason that that historical figure got involved. And Ella says that she's never been an avid Doctor Who viewer. I told Chris I didn't know a lot about Doctor Who, and he said, quote, "Don't worry, that's my job. I want you for your brain and your ideas and your fresh energy." And honestly, that's something that I think has been happening throughout this current era of the show, where people who aren't fully tied into the Doctor Who universe, but Chris Chibnall and Matt Strevens and other editors have been sort of being the guiding hand. I think that also happened maybe during the Stephen Moffat era as well. Many fans are saying that's ideally what should happen. You get incredibly talented writers who might not be invested in Doctor Who or may know the complex in and outs of the lore, but then you've got the showrunner or editors to sort of guide them there. Scroll 59, I want you for your brain. Quote from Chibnall, official zombie. Yeah, that's exactly, that's the sentiment. I want you for your brain. Hula Wang also said, this is very much an adventure episode because Jody is regenerating in the next episode. This is her last chance to have a bit of fun with the gang, but it's done in a way that we maybe haven't seen on Doctor Who before. It's quite epic, but also very emotional. And she also opened up about being a fan of the show with its revival in 2005, specifically citing Father's Day as the type of heart and as the type of humour and boldness that she wanted to imbue Legend of the Sea Devils with. She says, Father's Day made me cry when I watched it. Doctor Who looks very big and sleek these days, but in the end, it's the heart of the show that will make people come back for more. And she's absolutely correct. She also says that I'd worked with water in some of my shorts, but nothing like this. We didn't shoot anything in a water tank. We shot in the open sea by the harbour in Cardiff. The episode's full-sized sailing ships were constructed in the studio, and the art department, according to Hulu Wang, were absolute superheroes. So a lot of stuff happening in a studio and also on location in a Cardiff harbour, which is really cool, like technically on the open sea. People saying Father's Day as some Father's Day appreciation in the chat. Yeah, Father's Day is terrific. Check out my interview with Paul Cornell from the 1963 live stream where we talk a bit about Father's Day. We talk a bit about human nature and the family of blood as well. Hey Jay says, how long do you think it will be until Jodie joins Big Finish? I can't wait to hear what they do with the 13. Now, legally, she cannot do anything on Big Finish until she's officially left the show. So the earliest she can do stuff is at the end of 2022, but it wouldn't surprise me if Big Finish have got like a couple of scripts tucked away in a drawer, like unofficially off the record. Like, hey, you want to buy some Jodie Whittaker scripts? Like just in their lapel, like obviously they're doing something really, really off record, really illegitimate. So yeah, some really cool stuff and some really cool insights in the latest issue of Doctor Who magazine. Go check it out, of course. It's on Ishanti Dewey. Hey kid, you want some of these Big Finish audios? Yeah. Yeah, it's what we're all going to be in the end. Big Finish have produced so much stuff that when the apocalypse happens, we're going to be using Big Finish CDs as currency. It's going to happen eventually, and you need to be on the bandwagon first, okay? To Legend of the Sea Devils when it drops in about 2 weeks' time. I need to organise someone to bring on stream for it. Oh, this reminded me. I need to find something real quick. The Legend of the Sea Devils trailer. Gonna create chaos. It's our time. Man the cannons. Here, yep. Look at this. This was deliberate. This was clearly bait. Okay? Look at this image. This is what Doctor Who has become. Okay? Subtle. Yep. This is absolute man the Thasmins. This is definitely deliberate, you think? I mean, the text is in the right place. Or if you were to play these clips backwards, ship, and then it cuts to manning the cannons, it would be like when it cuts, it's a love scene, and then a train goes through a tunnel. Aidan Woodard says, not accidental. Aidan, you can let us dream. You can let us dream, okay? The ship is going down. Anyway, some cool fight scenes, some really cool effects. I'm really looking forward to this. By the way, if you've not seen, if you've not seen Hula Wang's short film, The Pregnant Ground, check it out. It is a mature subject matter about like a traumatic pregnancy. So listener discretion, viewer discretion is advised, but you can watch it on Vimeo. It's a really good short film. Really recommend checking it out. No one say anything about going down. Now, we all know that Dan's the bottom. HJ says, what species do you think that sea monster is? I want to put out a bet and say it's Merca. I don't think they'll do. I don't think it will be like, oh, this is the Merca. I encountered this like 20 seasons ago. I don't think it's going to be like that. But I do think that they'll mention like, oh, it's a Merca. And that's the reference. That they leave it there so that fans can be like, oh, that's a connection. And the average viewer is like, that's just the name of the creature. If I was Chibnall doing this story, that's absolutely what I'd do. But from what I remember, wasn't the Merca associated with the Silurians more than the Sea Devils? The Sea Devils hardly did anything in Warriors of the Deep, from my recollection of it. I need to watch it. Like, do I need to watch it? Do I?